Hello and welcome to the Cinque F1 Esports Championship. Today you join us for round 7 here at Barcelona, and I was expecting some nice sunshine, it to be a really warm day, but we are treated once again to a sopping wet track. Well, this is nothing new. We've seen this almost every race this season, so I was kind of hoping for a break, but apparently, Spain decides otherwise. It is quite an odd time of the year for us to be here, I think. But we're here nonetheless. Half race length and a short qualifying session await us today, as per usual. I know it is slightly odd, but that's just how things are in this championship. 17 minutes remaining in qualifying, and I'm surprised at the absence of drivers out on track. We can see one driver coming out now, George, out on track, and usually we have almost everyone out the moment the qualifying starts, because they only have about 17 minutes in which to set their laps. But we move on then. Aka, who we are currently following, had a interesting race last week, battling Ryan on the circuit of Imola for round 6, and they definitely provided us with some good entertainment as they went side by side through turn 7 and through turns 9 and 10, and then still alongside through Acqua Minerali. We had some good action between those two, and then a daring strategy call from Ryan as the rain descended to try and stay ahead of Aka, but unfortunately it did not work out. Now, the big story that happened during that race at Imola is that a rookie joined us for the first time, the name of Nicholas, who is currently P8 on your screen, on the timing board on the left hand side of your screen. He joined us for the first time last week and absolutely aced it. Fought with George for the race lead through the first half of the race. They were just trading position every single lap, and then right at the end managed to clinch victory as George made a similar strategy call to Ryan, choosing to stay out on the dry tyres for as long as possible, and ultimately losing about 20 seconds, 30 seconds worth of lap time. But Aka crosses the line now to start qualifying. Let's bring up the little graphic that helps us determine where these guys are on track and how their sector times are faring, and I am glad to see the side of that tyre being green. We had some interesting tyre choices in qualifying for Hungary, which was 2 rounds ago, round 5, and everyone decided to go out on softs. Very interesting choice, I have to admit, but it was entertaining watching them slide, just as Aka demonstrated as it came through turn 8. So, Aka then on the intermediate tyre. Let's see how he does, shall we? Coming through the final couple corners, through the final sector now. And the lap times pour in. George with a 121.2, Keegan a 122.1, and Ryan a 126.075. Ryan with a slightly slower lap time than I might have anticipated as his initial one, but Aka comes back with a 121.328, so he's going to be fighting with George for that pole position. Hollow Chicken also getting involved, a 121.490. I think Nicholas and Pagadala will have something to say about those lap times as well. Let's go on board with Pagadala. He, of course, was not here last race. He did not make the race at Imola round 6, which meant that his championship lead not only got cut down, but was actually displaced. He was actually displaced from P1 in the championship. This was our championship leader all the way up until now, when Hollow Chicken, who has just set 4th fastest lap time, 121.49, until he came along and stole P1. Just with his consistent results and his fastest lap at Imola, it just put him up there. Pagadala now across the line at 121.865, and I'm overjoyed to see the tyre compounds for most of these cars being green. There's Ryan improving on his time. George unable to do so. Ryan only improving by 12 hundredths. Really close between those two. Now, I'm sure Nicholas and Hollow Chicken will have a response. I'm actually surprised at Aka's time, a 121.328. He's kind of been more mid-pack than up at the top, so it's great to see him competing up there with the big boys now. Hopefully going to secure a podium this race, if not a race win. But it does seem to be a slower lap time for him, unless that's just me not paying attention to the speed of the track, which occasionally happens if you turn up at a track for the first time and you just don't know what it's supposed to look like. Now Aka last race got P4 and improved his... No, sorry, he just stayed exactly where he was in the championship, also P4. So, yeah, he's got a ways to go before he can improve a couple more positions. Pagadala now taking pole position, 120.9, so that's 0.3 seconds improvement. Aka now coming into sector 3, hurtling his way into turn 10, but it is a slow lap indeed. I think this is a lap where he's just going to come in. It's similar for the car behind. Whoever that is, I suspect that's Nicholas. Yes, it is indeed. He's improved by 0.2 seconds, so he looks set to take P2. Is there potential for a pole position for this driver? He was not the pole sitter last race. George taking the honours of starting the grid at Imola, but now it is time to see how Nicholas does. Coming across the line. Oh my goodness! Absolutely smashes Pagadala's time. A 120.2 from the man currently in that silver, purple and yellow car, flying through turns 1 and 2. He's improved the pole position time by 0.7 seconds. That's more than half a second. Great performance from this driver, but now Pagadala comes across the line. He was 1.1 seconds slower in Sector 3 and 1.4 seconds slower at the end. How does he fare over the course of this lap? Let's take a look. Let's follow him for a little while, shall we? On board now with Pagadala through turn 3. Oh my goodness, and that's a sideways car just ahead. Hopefully he sees him. Ooh, that was close. Almost a collision between the two as they come through turn 4 now into Seat turn 5. Staying off those curbs. Make sure you stay off those slippery bits that are usually so nice and grippy and save you so much time. You can use a little bit on that right side of the track through turn 7 now into turn 9. Camps to the fast right-hander, almost a complete flat, and then now down the straight into turn 10. And Pagadala's improved by 0.4 seconds in the first 2 sectors. He still needs to improve by way more because Ryan has taken pole position with a 120.249. Close battling for the provisional pole position now through the penultimate right-hander, through the final right-hander. A little bit of a lift. Oh no, and that's his lap time gone. Now it's Pagadala's attempt. He still improves though. So then, Pagadala on a fast lap still improves even as he slips his way around the final corner of turn 14. That is very unfortunate for the driver in the yellow car. 9 minutes now in qualifying and everyone has managed to set a lap time. Keegan, the 122.1. I'm surprised at how low he is in the standings. Keegan has been lately... I don't know, it's been mixed really. When he turned up, the first race he was with us, he absolutely dominated the field. But now, lately, he's just been struggling for some performance. But Keegan out with a 120.8, so he's also improved. That's still more than half a second he needs to improve onto the pole position. And is it just me or has it stopped raining? Nicholas now with a sudden 119.5. Yes, I think it has stopped raining. because the lap times are suddenly plummeting now. That's another half second and a bit. Is Pagadala now through the final couple right-handers, but he dives into the pits. DRS enabled, yes, so rain has indeed stopped for now. How does George respond? He's almost a second off his time. That is unfortunate for this driver currently in P3. Trash Panda retires from the session. 126.024, so Papa can definitely make a position on him with this dry weather, but George, I don't think he's going to be setting a faster lap time this time round. Maybe he'll come into the pits and swap out for a dry tyre compound, because of course the rain has stopped. Doesn't make sense to be out on these wet tyres. And yeah, there it is, straight into the pits. Ryan is currently out, and yes, he has swapped to the soft tyre compound, so let's see how this does. Ryan currently on an out lap as everyone comes into the pits now except for Aka and Papa for their dry tyre compound. And now while we have this brief little pause from the action, I just want to clarify something about the names. Yes, these are indeed not the names of the real drivers, and we have had a recent push to say the actual names of the drivers, but it is very tricky for both you and I to keep track of things if the names aren't actually on the leaderboard. So for tonight, still, we'll stick to this. We might get around to fixing that, but if not, then this will just have to be how it is tonight. However, I've also been asked to share this little poster with you guys, and it's something about the new supercar. We've had 2 supercar concepts now, and this is the latest one, and looks like progress is being made on this, so definitely keep an eye out on all our social media pages. We've got Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We just check it all out. It'll all be in the YouTube channel description, I'm sure. But now let's head back to the racing, and it has decided to chuck me out of the spectator mode. So let's head back in and enjoy the final couple minutes of qualifying, the final couple battles. And Ryan already struggling through the first sector. So the first driver then who will set a competitive lap time is going to be Aka, 2 positions down. Again, everyone's switching now to those soft tyre compounds because it has stopped raining and we are free to just go nuts. Obviously the track temperature will be slightly lower than it would have been had it been the usual bright sunny disposition of Barcelona. Wow. And you can see just how much he is sliding on those cold tyres. Just coming through Sector 2 now, into the DRS detection zone after turn 8. Oh my goodness, and yeah, those cold tyres are definitely having an effect on these drivers and their cars. So Pogadala back out, Nicholas back out, Papa back out, Keegan and Hollow Chicken into the pits. Oh, Aka obviously has improved to 120.641 P4 in the class now, and we are following him. And he's trying to get some temperature back into those tyres. No, he just dug straight back into the pits. So let's see, Ryan suddenly up to P2. He was further down the grid. So Ryan now pushing to improve. Someone just behind has set a purple first sector. So the lap times will continue to plummet as the temperatures increase, and the grip on the track as a result also increases. Ryan now coming into turn 10 on Sector 3 start. He has improved by more than a second. Is this a 19.2 from the man in that yellow car? Let's wait and see. Nicholas, of course, will be trying to defend that position by setting a lap time of his own. coming through the final couple corners now. Turn 14, the fast right-hander out onto the main straight. Here's Ryan across the line, and it's an 18.6. An incredible improvement, 1.6 seconds. And Pagadala also improves just behind, an 18.670. Nicholas defends his title with 0.6 seconds, defending his pole position for the time being. And that is our top three fighting for provisional pole position in the last 3 minutes of the race. And it is spicing up now because, of course, this is really when the best quali laps will happen, is when that track is up to temperature, the tyres are up to temperature and it's dry. And the moistness of the rain before is completely gone. And you can see Pagadala now right up behind. Is that Ryan? Yes. And that is Ryan just putting out the way just so Pagadala can get a proper lap in. Speaking of Pagadala, let's go on board with him. Currently P3. How has he managed to fare in the first two sectors? Because he needs to make up about 7/10 if he wants to take provisional pole position. 2.9 seconds off the pace. Now just behind is Nicholas. And he's going to try and cement his position. Now through turn 13, then turn 14, across the line. Where does he come out? Yeah, 1.8 seconds slower, so not really an improvement there. But George is currently on a valid lap. Back out of the pits. Into turn 4, 5, and now the kink of turn 6, sector 2. Oh, there we go. Keegan with a 117.6. So Keegan now showing that, yeah, rain is maybe not his strength, but a dry track is indeed. Keegan now taking provisional pole position by more than 4/10 from Nicholas, which means that Ryan and Pagadala will need to improve by more than a second if they want to take pole position. George on a very slow lap indeed. Unfortunate for the man currently in P5 with only 30 seconds left in qualifying. This will be his final attempt at a qualifying lap as he lets one of the drivers pass. I suspect that is Nicholas attempting to take pole position. Coming across the line. Yes, there it is. No, that's Pagadala. The 116.195 and Nicholas with a 116.0. The lap times keep falling. We started at a 126, 10 seconds faster. Obviously, the rain had a huge effect. Keegan now back down to P4. Akka up to P3. This is a great qualifying performance from that driver who's usually in the mid-pack. And the time has run out for qualifying. We are approaching the end. Last attempt. And there is Pagadala on a slow lap. That is his qualifying pretty much over. Keegan also crosses the line. Nicholas will now have to defend his time, his provisional pole position. Akka down in P3 will be looking for an improvement on his time. There is a slow car just ahead. I wonder whether Ryan will be able to set a lap time because he needs to improve by 2.6 seconds if he wants to take provisional pole. Oh, that's Hollow Chicken now P5. What's happened to these big names? Here's Akka. He's 0.3 seconds off the pace. So he'll need to improve by almost a second if he wants to improve on his time. Nicholas cementing his position as provisional pole driver. And there's George with a 116.0 as well. P2 for that driver who started on pole last race. Akka now across the line down to P5. And then the last driver to come across will be Pagadala to end qualifying. Wow! We just were constantly moving over there. That then is the end of qualifying. A short format, but now we head into the race. Half race length, 33 laps of racing, 153.5 kilometers of action awaits us in just a couple moments. So join us as we hit the race soon. An exciting qualifying session preceded this race, and it was definitely a very kinetic session. We started off in the rain, it dried up, our drivers switched to softs, and the lap times tumbled. It was really incredible to watch these drivers as they pushed the limits of their cars every single lap and pushed each other to the limits as well. Some big names up at the top, some new names up at the top, and some big names and some old names down at the bottom. So really, it's been a mix and a match, this race so far, this session. But here we go, the lights come on. And the green flag waves at Barcelona, and we do have a drive-through penalty for Papa right from the get-go. A drive-through penalty, a jump start from Papa all the way down in P7. We do have a new driver joining us into turn 1. We've got some drivers side by side into the first couple sections. Pagadala safely through, George following, then it's Aka now going side by side with George. George losing out, he starts at P2, he's lost 2 positions in the race start. Here's Ryan trying to make a position as well. We're just going through the grid now. Keegan P6, he's dropped slightly back. Hollow Chicken not too far. Now there's a bigger gap between Papa. Oh my goodness, there's tyre smoke going up as Hollow Chicken fights with Keegan for P6 now. Coming through turn 6 into turn 7. Looks like everyone except Trash Panda has managed to make it through cleanly. Maybe a couple collisions up at the back of the grid. We might see a couple moves now. I'm seeing an eager Ryan looking to make a position on George for P4. We've seen these two come together in a couple races. We see them fight at Hungary over a position. Ryan taking advantage of the weather, but this time it's dry. Maybe not for long though. I'm looking at the weather. It seems slightly grey, so who knows? We might get some rain towards the end of the session. Ryan definitely the closest, 0.2 seconds. He's just waiting for that DRS to come. Obviously, this turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 section is going to be where we see most of the overtakes happen. But of course, it doesn't mean we won't see overtakes anywhere else on circuit. Ryan now one of the closest drivers to Anolli, was about 0.2 at the end. You can see just the amount of tyre smoke going up as the drivers push once again. Up further though, Pagadala is putting Nicholas under pressure, 0.2 seconds between these two. Pagadala saying, I don't want a new rookie up here sharing the podium with me, I want that position. So he's 0.4 seconds now. We're almost into the time when the DRS will be enabled. So he's just biding his time as the other drivers do. Aka, surprising performance right at the race start. He's only 0.4 seconds of Pagadala now. Aka has been struggling slightly this season with the pace, but not today. Barcelona seems to be his track of choice when it comes to pace, and the drivers start separating into their different gaps now, their different skill levels, if you will. Pagadala, 0.2 seconds. He's going around the outside into turn 1. Nicholas trying to defend. He's now got the inside line into turn 2. How do they fare turn 3? Aka getting involved down the inside into turn 3. There's contact between those two. Oh my goodness. Pagadala trying to make a position. Aka taking advantage of a slightly out of position Pagadala into turn 3. They collide and he has to fall back. Now further behind we can see Ryan and George also battling. Ryan now going for a beautiful move. A little switch back down the inside. And there's contact between those two. I wonder whether someone has lost some bits of front wing. I don't see anything. Maybe the rear wing? No, but they have ghosted. There's George going literally right through Ryan. So I suspect there was a bit of contact as it came past. And he had to give that position back. Now DRS has kicked in. We just didn't get a notification from race control saying so, but we do have it. You might hear a little beep as they switch it on. But otherwise, you'll just see the flap on the rear wing open. That's your most reliable marker. So, Ryan only 0.3 seconds behind George as they come through turn 14 onto the straight. A couple drivers will be having DRS, Ryan included. Is he passed by the time they hit the braking zone? I suspect so. Nicholas also drops a couple positions. Nicholas dropping 1 position, apologies. Pagadala making it past on the straight. Now, of course, Nicholas just needs to keep it within a second of the DRS detection zone. After turn 8 into turn 9, he'll have that DRS. Then for the hairpin of turn 10, he'll then have that little boost that he can use. So a change for the race lead. Pagadala back up where he's used to operating. Now it's Nicholas half a second behind. Is he still within that second by the time they hit the DRS detection zone? I think so. George will also be looking for a similar thing. Aka also within 7/10 of Nicholas, just ahead. This is Nicholas now. He manages to close the gap slightly, but you won't be making an overtake unless you are right on the bumper of the car ahead through turn 10. Slightly sideways, a little bit of oversteer for Nicholas as he comes through that left-hander of turn 11, then into turn 12. Half a second between them now, and the gaps continue to open up as the pace of these drivers is truly revealed. Right down at the bottom, the gap between Papa and Ashrock is about 24 seconds, so that has opened fairly big. Here's Nicholas now for a move. He's going around the outside onto the grass and they collide. Still around the outside, inside of turn 2, and Nicholas fights his way past. They were rubbing as they came into the braking zone of turn 1. Nicholas persisted so that he could get the inside line into turn 2, and now he's got the race lead done, and Aka just waits behind. George also looking for a position just behind them. George now 0.2 seconds. Oh, this is a lovely camera angle right up behind that yellow car ahead. So a little touchy-feely between Nicholas and Pagadala into turn 1. Oh my goodness, and that's Aka dropping down the grid. What's happened? Aka is falling down the grid, and there's George now trying to make a position on Ryan. 0.85 seconds, almost alongside as they came through that left hand, and now into the right hander of turn 12. He's waiting, he's right there down the inside into turn 13, and he's passed. Great racing between these two, beautiful overtake from George, a little bit of late braking, and he's passed. But now Aka is down to P5, he's dropped a couple positions. Ryan saying, I want that position back, passed on the main straight before they even hit the braking zone. And of course Aka will be trying to defend from Keegan just ahead. Nicholas managed to get ahead of Pagadala a couple laps, and he's staying ahead for the time being. There's almost nothing between those two, and I just keep seeing these graphics go up that look really weird. So Ryan just defending from George, 0.3 seconds. There's a little train, a little trio of drivers. George taking a slightly narrower line than Ryan, and he seems to be making some good time on that yellow car ahead as a result. Oh my goodness, and that's sideways out through turn 7, on the exit of turn 8, through the right hand of turn 9, and Aka takes advantage. That's all you need on this track to lose a position. It's literally, you just lose traction on the rear, and that's your position gone. So now George is under pressure from Keegan. Aka up to P4. If he can close the gap to Ryan, he might have potential to fight for another podium position. But further up the grid though is Pagadala, only 0.4 seconds off of Nicholas now. Into turn 1, we've seen some hard battling between the two. Oh my goodness, a beautiful dummy from Pagadala. Sent Nicholas around the outside. He's got the inside line for turn 1. Round turn 2, Nicholas defending. Turn 3, that is Nicholas still side by side as they come through the right hander, and that is Pagadala up into the race lead. 7 laps of hard racing so far. Aka only 0.2 seconds off of Ryan. That gap has suddenly closed. So now Aka fighting for P3. Can he believe it? Almost right up into the back of Ryan, just ahead. There's Aka with a little peek, just making Ryan think. You can play somewhat of a psychological game when you show them, you just give a little peek to the inside to make them think you're going to go for the dive, and then they, you just let their mind do the work for you. Oh, sideways for both of them on the exit. 0.2 seconds between these two. Is this going to be a change for position into turn 1? Obviously, the DRS will have an effect coming through turn 14. Only 0.2 seconds between them. I think Nicholas is probably going to get past Pagadala, but we follow Aka on the main straight. Here's the DRS kicking in, and is preempting it. Oh my goodness, there's George. Hello! Double overtake for the man currently in P3. Brilliant move from the driver in that purple car. Aka now defending. Great racing here for P3. Keegan just behind as well. So Ryan now down the inside of Acker. Acker trying to hold on in turn 7. And he's just managed to hold on to P5 on Keegan. Keegan's still set to come past at some stage. Wow, that was entertaining to watch. We thought Acker was going to get a great run on Ryan, and here comes George down the inside of both of them. Brilliant double overtake for the man currently in P3, and here's Acker now trying to make his own position. Turn 10, he's had the DRS. Beautiful overtake around the outside. Can he get it stopped? No, he runs wide. Keegan now down the inside into turn 11. The action just keeps amping up. Still around the outside into turn 12. Acker trying to defend that position, and he's maintained it. 0.4 seconds now. Ryan is, of course, having to defend from these two. Let's see how Keegan does on the straight. Only 0.1 seconds. And that is Keegan absolutely flying past him. Maybe even past Ryan into turn 1. Wow. The amount of speed that these drivers get is just insane. There's Acker now down the inside. Oh my goodness. And that's Ryan losing out either to a collision or due to oversteer. Wow. Yeah. That was nuts. So, in the space of 2 laps, we've seen George go up 2 positions, Acker drop a position, Keegan up 2 positions, Ryan drop 2 positions. So, really kinetic race between the drivers for P3. Right up at the top, though, it's still also really tight. Pagadala 0.3 seconds off of Nicholas. And we've got a brief... intimate... I'm not sure how to say intimate. I don't know. I'm not sure what to call it. But basically a brief break from the action on turn 1 on the main straight. Acker now only 0.2 seconds off of Keegan. So he'll be making a move on the main straight. I'm sure of it. Except that he drops back down to 0.6 seconds. So he might have had a little bit of oversteer on the exit of a corner. Maybe slightly slow, slightly slippery. Meanwhile, Ryan now goes for an early pit. Hollow Chicken goes up a position. Trash Panda and Papa swapping positions down at the bottom of the pack. Where are they? There's Papa in the white car, and he's managed to make a position on Trash Panda just ahead. Now we do have a new driver on the grid, Aaron, in a lovely orange and purple liveried car. He's currently in P7. And I believe it's his first race with us. I have never seen him before, unless he was racing at Las Vegas. Which, for those who don't know, Las Vegas was round 3 and we did not broadcast that. So, yeah, I don't really know what happened there other than the results. But there's hard battling now between Panda and Papa for P10, the final point scoring position. Acker 0.1 seconds off of Keegan at turn 4. I think that's going to be a close one to watch. Yes, there's Acker now around the outside of turn 3. Looks like he got the outside line on turn 1. Was shown the outside by Keegan. No, sorry. They're not even at turn 1. That was into turn 13. Wow, some great racing action. There's Acker going very defensive. Keegan says, oh, well, I'll just take the normal line and cruise past. Thanks. So Acker dropping down to P5. Keegan up to P4. I'm interested to see, again, we kind of keep coming back to these guys and then nothing happens and so on. But Pagadala now 0.3 seconds off Nicholas, so this is still very close racing for the race lead. We haven't seen this close racing, well, since last race, to be honest, at Imola, but Nicholas did seem to just have that relentless drive last race to stay ahead almost all the way, despite the DRS that George had for a couple laps. And yeah, George did not, the moment George could not make it past on a DRS lap, that was it. Like that was his opportunity gone. George was barely hanging on to that time, but we've seen Pagadala make some good progress on Nicholas previously. So I wonder now whether we had a slightly faster driver between these two, and then there was maybe a bit of contact on an overtake, and maybe that's just pegged one of them slightly back, the faster one slightly back, so that now they're at roughly the same pace, because there is half a second between them and it's staying there. That's not the case between Aka and Keegan, though. We go on board with Aka, who started in P5 and he's in P5. Lockups into turn 5 through the kink at turn 6. Aka will obviously have a little bit of that DRS helping before they hit turn 10. He's using all the curb. He might not need the DRS into turn 9. And there it is, an overtake from Aka into turn 9. We've not seen many of those. And of course he's got the DRS to help him get the job done. So that's Aka up into P4. Brilliant overtake down in the mid-back. Further up, those only 0.4 seconds between Pagadala and Nicholas on the main straight. Here we go, a bit of action. Pagadala trying to sell a dummy, doesn't get bought by Nicholas, and fairly standard overtake into turn 1. Nicholas just given that position, not really fighting it, because they are just building a huge gap on George in P3, 6 seconds between them. And looks like Keegan got back ahead of Aka for P4. So on that start straight, looks like Aka and Keegan had a little position swap, similar to what Pagadala and Nicholas did. Now, I don't know, it's been really close so far, but I have a feeling Pagadala, once he's ahead, he's going to stay ahead, and as I say that, the gap drops, and he has a bit of oversteer, so yeah, might be commentator's curse already kicking in. Instant karma is present here tonight at the Barcelona circuit in Spain, turn 14, and that is very close between these two. Let's look at the rear. They've both got DRS, so that effect is pretty much null except for the slipstream. Here comes Nicholas forcing himself past 3 wide into turn 1 as they overtake. Oh my goodness, onto the grass goes Pagadala. Well, they were 3 wide. Oh! Aka comes into the pits. Sorry. Thought for a second Aka had spun out or something. You just see the position change. Oh! And here's Pagadala with some speed on Nicholas coming into turn 4. It seemed as though there was potential for maybe a little bit of late braking, a lunge down into turn 4, but it seems a bit excessive at the moment. So as I was going to say, just before Pagadala had a rubbish exit out of turn 12, that potentially he was going to stay ahead for the rest of the race, just because of, I don't know, his pace seems really aggressive today, he seems really on top of things. But yeah, obviously that wasn't the case a couple of laps ago. So the gaps are now opening up slightly as the pit stop chaos ensues. Drivers will likely be making either a 1-stop or a 2-stop strategy, depending on the amount of tyre wear they get, and the, I guess, just the tyre compound as well. So some drivers will favour maybe taking the medium, such as Pagadala, or they might favour taking a soft. Oh, and a little bit unpredictable on the pit entry. These drivers not quite sure where that line is. Let's see how they do in the pit stop. So Pagadala obviously catching up right up to the back of Nicholas as they came into the pits. Now Papa has left the session, he's retired, and it's an alright start for Pagadala, but he's stuck behind traffic now. But I think that traffic will get ghosted pretty much from the get-go, just so these back markers can not be overrun by the drivers currently in P1 and P2. So Nicholas, though, has got a 2-second lead now. So in that pit stop, Pagadala fell behind, and has something gone wrong? Pagadala pulling over to the side of the road. What's going on? What has gone? Well, what's? Oh, safety car. Well, that's what's happening. Sorry, ladies and gents. I'm just so entranced by the cars, I didn't notice that. Yeah, safety car's back out. So that's likely going to be Papa's fault, I think. That's likely what's happened. Maybe a stationary car on track somewhere. Papa just before he retired from the session. So I assume it might have been some wall action. Maybe getting involved with Ashrock. I'm not sure. We don't know what's happened. But now the grid forms up once again. Lap 15 of 33. We're almost halfway into the race and we've had non-stop action. This has been absolutely brilliant. Usually when I think Barcelona, I don't think plenty of action, overtaking, yada yada yada. I think turn 1, that's it, and kind of quiet the rest of the lap. We've seen some overtakes into turn 9. We've seen some overtakes into turn 10. Oh my goodness! And that's a sideways car. I suspect, yeah, that's Aaron, the orange and purple car, sat across the track. So, the position order then is Nicholas in the race lead, Pagadala P2, George P3, Keegan taking P4, and Hollow Chicken in position 5, Akka down in P6, and that pit stop has not worked out for that driver. Obviously right now is when you would want to do that pit stop, so pretty much all these drivers unfortunately did not manage to take advantage of the safety car coming out. But let's have a look at some of the stats that are available at the moment. So position changes, Pagadala up 1 position, George down 1 position, Keegan and Hollow Chicken up 2 positions. What's happened to George? George, I guess they're just getting a bit excited under the safety car. So Akka dropping 1 position, Ryan down 3 positions. So he's had a bit of a rough race today. Aaron up 2 positions, Trash Panda at a net 0 balance, Ashrock up 1 position. So not too bad for some of these drivers. Trash Panda being the only driver having made 2 stops other than Ryan. Everyone having made a pit stop at the moment. And it's pretty much a 50-50. Well, that's more like a 60-40 split, isn't it? Almost. Sorry, that's the exact split. 60-40. And the guys currently in the top 4 positions being the 40%. So they've gone for the hard tyre. So they've likely just gone for a 1-stop. Oh my goodness. And that's Nicholas going round at turn 7. And he spun out. Where does that put him? Does that mean he gets to regain all those positions? I don't know. But yeah, top 4 in the hard tyre compound, the rest on mediums. Any penalties? No, I'm actually surprised. We usually have a fair few at this stage in the race, but they've all managed to keep it clean. And yeah, looking forward to getting some more race action started. We have seen some contact between drivers, so I'm sure that's still under review by the stewards by race control. So we might get a verdict later on. Now, I wasn't sure, but Nicholas is not allowed to regain those positions. Nicholas, who was running in P1, yeah, that Nicholas, he's dropped down to P6 now. So our previous race leader now has to make up a good couple seconds on Pagadala to take the race win. But at this stage, I don't think Pagadala's too worried about Nicholas. He's more worried about Hollow Chicken down in P4, because obviously Hollow Chicken has taken the championship lead away from him, so he'll be looking to close up that 1-point gap, which I'm sure he will do today here at a dreary Barcelona. And I'm still kind of in shock. I would have thought the weather would have been nice and sunny by now, really quite warm, but yeah, it's not, which, I mean, you know, you should kind of expect it being the beginning of autumn, almost mid-autumn / start of winter, if you only like doing 2 seasons. Okay, safety car back in. Let's get this racing underway, shall we? This race start is going to be interesting. So obviously a driver to keep an eye out for will be Nicholas, who has had some very good pace throughout this race, and I'm sure he will have some good pace throughout the rest of it. Now it's just a question of how much ground he can make up on Pagadala, if any at all. We've seen how closely they were matched previously with the DRS, I wonder how they will fare without the DRS. Coming through the final corner now. And it's green flag as the drivers now come across the start line. George defending from Keegan, only 0.1 seconds between them. And there's the move. Side by side, there's Hollow Chicken making some moves up the grid. Acker also making some positions. Keegan dropping down the order. He's dropped a couple positions now. Side by side between some drivers. Round the outside is Acker trying to make a position on Keegan once again. Oh my goodness, and there's contact. There's a car off in the background in the gravel. Not sure who that is. Aaron making some spicy moves down the inside of turn 5. So he's made a couple good positions. He's made a position on Keegan and Acker, so they collided and they've dropped down the order. Aaron now up to P6, a good start from him. Ryan up to P5. Brilliant performance from this driver. Hollow Chicken now making a move on Pagadala into turn 11. These two championship contenders battling it out here at Barcelona around the outside of turn 12. That is a stunning overtake from Hollow Chicken for the race lead. Oh my goodness, Hollow Chicken from nowhere. He's just suddenly come up and taken P1 for this race, round 7. And DRS is enabled. But it's not in effect yet because it only got enabled when they crossed that line. So Pagadala could not make a move under DRS. Nicholas now in P4. He's managed to get a decent start. 0.2 seconds off of George. We've seen the difference in pace between these two today. Previously, though, they've been really closely matched. Ryan only 0.2 seconds. I wonder, is he going to be a bother to Nicholas as Nicholas tries to go on a recovery run? We'll just have to wait and see. So Nicholas only 0.3 seconds to George ahead. An even closer gap is going to be Pagadala on Hollow Chicken, only 0.2 seconds. Obviously, they're going to have the DRS into the final section. Oh my goodness, and Pagadala locks up, spins out. Here's George now around the outside at turn 11. And he's just managed to stay ahead. So George now within 0.2 seconds. He's going to be making a move on the main straight. Same as Ryan, 0.3 seconds. This could be a bit of action down the main straight. Ryan, let's see, he's got the best view. There's a position change just ahead. Pagadala being overtaken by George into turn 1. Now it's back to our old battle between Pagadala and Nicholas for P3 now. Pagadala dropping down the order. I wonder, has something gone wrong? Has he maybe lost a bit of performance? Ryan literally right up on the inside of Nicholas. We just didn't see him sneaking by. Inside line into turn 5. And that is Ryan round the outside. Into turn 6 we go, and Ryan now up to P4. He's put himself between Pagadala and Nicholas. But just up ahead is Pagadala trying to make a move on George. He's right up behind him. He's got the DRS. Is he going to get a move down into turn 10? Little look down the inside, trying to sell another dummy, as we've seen him do so successfully previously. Both of them go wide. There's Ryan now down the inside of Pagadala. Pagadala struggling back now. But again, just a fight between Nicholas and Pagadala now. They just dropping down the order. P4. They just keep battling for lower and lower positions. A little look down the inside. Ryan only 0.3 seconds off of George just ahead. There's Nicholas going down the inside at the same time as Ryan going down the inside of George. So there's a position change for P2. Oh my goodness, things have suddenly gotten even more kinetic as our top 5 drivers all battle for those positions. But Hollow Chicken has managed to pull out a 1.8 second lead on Ryan. Oh my goodness, wow, this race restart has just suddenly taken a massive turn. And here's Nicholas right up behind George. I was going to say the two drivers in P2 and P3 are going to be pulling away from Nicholas and Pagadala as they battle for P4. But no, looks like they're just going to all keep battling together. It's good rotation from Nicholas. Just noticed into turn 9 under braking. There's George also trying to sell the dummy on Ryan, and Nicholas right up now behind George. 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. George, half a second off of Ryan. Pagadala even closer, 0.6. Somewhere else on track with 0.2 seconds between Pagadala and Nicholas. They both know they've both got DRS, but Pagadala unfortunately not close enough to take advantage of the slipstream. Sorry, and just ahead is George making a move around the outside, but Ryan defends that position. Good defense from the man on P2. Obviously, as they fight, that brings Nicholas and Pagadala back into that fight for podium positions. But Ryan now 2 seconds behind Hollow Chicken. So while they fight, Hollow Chicken just says, thanks, I'll just keep pulling a lead. Wow. So some good action here up at the top. Pagadala 0.3 seconds. Keegan down 4 seconds. And Aka, who had such a great run in the first half of the race, has unfortunately dropped down to P8. So he somewhere has just lost it. But now Nicholas only 0.1 seconds off of George. George feeling the need to defend his position halfway through the straight. Ryan has pulled out a slight gap on George for P2. 0.3 seconds each between Pagadala, Nicholas and George. P3, P4 and P5. Not in that order. I didn't say their names in the right order. So it would be George, then Nicholas, then Pagadala in order. P3, P4, P5. But soon to change. Here's Nicholas now coming on George for P3. Down the inside. Pagadala also having a look down the inside. Oh my goodness, 3-1 into turn 1 and they touch! Nicholas and Pagadala once again colliding at turn 1. George now back up and they collide on the exit of turn 3 as well. George now trying to defend his position. Turn 3 into turn 4. They're back into the same position they were before. Oh my goodness. Turn 1. I'm speechless. I just can't even think of a word to say. That was epic. I'll settle with that. That was epic. That was just nuts to watch. I'm not even going to go into the analysis because we're too close between these drivers. 0.2 seconds between Pagadala and Nicholas. 0.3 seconds between Nicholas and George. Woo! These guys are on fire. 10 laps to go in the race. There's a move from Pagadala from way back. He's got his nose on the inside through turn 11. And that's an overtake from Pagadala on Nicholas into turn 10. That came from way back. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a dive bomb just because of how long they were side by side into turn 10. But now onto the main straight. Pagadala had a horrendous exit. Is there position to be made on George? The final podium position. George is not fighting it as much. And George has just pretty much given up that position to Nicholas. We have seen, of course, how hard George can fight. And these two fight at Imola. And even just now, there's George trying to go around the outside of turn 4. Nicholas not budging. Whoa! What happened in the background there? Almost looked like there was a lock-up or a crash or something, but George suddenly falling 0.3 seconds behind it. Aka has retired from the session. Is that a crash? Is that going to be another safety car? I hope not. George putting Nicholas under pressure, making him think. There is a slow car in Sector 1. So Pagadala, 0.1 seconds on George. He's really right up close behind. Onto the main straight, he's going to have both DRS and the slipstream. I suspect he's just going to come flying past. And maybe with the momentum, maybe have Nicholas thinking a little about what he should do for turn 1. Pagadala opting for turn 1 inside corner. And he had some momentum. That was a car just ahead going off. Ryan, only 0.4 seconds behind Chicken now. So it looks like Chicken maybe slowing down slightly. Oh, and there's a move from George down the inside of Pagadala. They bang wheels into turn 4, and that's George now up a position. Sorry, I was just looking at the top 2 trying to make sense of it all because Ryan is now half a second off of Hollow Chicken. Oh my goodness, Pagadala slightly slippery on the exit, and that has dropped him potentially out of DRS range for George. So Nicholas now in P3. He's within almost a second of Ryan, so the top 3 now all within fighting range. Ryan now fighting for a race win. We saw him battle with Hollow Chicken before at Hungary, also for a race win position, but of course we had some late race chaos that just meant they just couldn't get that fight concluded satisfactorily in Ryan's case. But we could potentially see that happen today with 8 laps of racing remaining. 0.2 seconds between Ryan and Hollow Chicken now down the main straight. Where does Hollow Chicken go? He goes for the inside. Ryan round the outside. Does he get this move done into turn 1? They keep the space as little as possible, pushing each other as far as and as hard as they can. Ryan forced to stay in P2. Nicholas now, of course, then managed to make up that gap. 0.2 seconds between himself and Ryan ahead. Then just behind, that's George and Pagadala obviously having a battle of their own. There's Ryan right up behind Hollow Chicken, just giving him a tap on the rear. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. Here's Nicholas now around the outside into turn 6. Turn 7, they're side by side, and that's Ryan going sideways. So Ryan losing out to Nicholas. And Hollow Chicken obviously gets that time to just recuperate and get a second between himself and the driver behind, but not quite. Nicholas is running away with it. He is trying to close that gap as quickly as he can, and is managing to do so. There's George going wide. Has George just dropped a position? Yes, George has just dropped a position to both Pagadala and Ryan. Oh my goodness. Wow. And Nicholas now 0.3 seconds between himself and Hollow Chicken. Coming down the main straight, things are changing all over the place. There's Nicholas going really far down the inside, but they still bang wheels into turn 1. And there's hard battling going on for the top 5 positions, all within a second of each other. This is intense. Hollow Chicken now trying to defend from Pagadala, just behind. 0.2 seconds between them, 0.1 seconds between them. This is close racing. There's Pagadala, move down into P5. Oh my goodness. Pagadala taking advantage of the situation, and Hollow Chicken now drops 2 positions in the space of a couple corners. Wow, this is intense. We've got a couple drivers now, 0.2 seconds between them all. 5 drivers all battling for the race lead. This is brilliant. We've only got 6 laps of racing left. Usually you'd expect this right at the start of a race, but now we see this right at the end. Brilliant racing for everyone. Main straight now, Hollow Chicken, 0.3 seconds off of Pagadala. What does this look like for him? From behind, he's got a couple drivers, but not too close. Sector 2, we've got a slow car, so that could potentially be a yellow flag, but he's gotten going again, so at least no safety car. And we are back up to those familiar positions. Nicholas in the race lead, Pagadala P2, Hollow Chicken P3, George P4, Ryan P5, and Keegan, unfortunately, again, he was one of our top drivers, but he's down in P6. He just can't get those race starts right. Half a second now between almost all our drivers in the top 5. Of course, we'll see all those gaps close up for turn 1. This could potentially be a very entertaining first corner. Let's see how it goes. Hollow Chicken now under threat from George, just behind. George only 0.3 seconds behind. Ryan half a second. Here's George. Where does he go? Oh, he dropped back slightly on the exit. So maybe a little bit of oversteer on the exit. Not quite what he wanted, but further up is Pagadala. Only 0.4 seconds on Nicholas. Move from George, potentially. No, 0.2 seconds between them. This is close racing for the top 3 positions, the podium positions. And there's a wide run from Hollow Chicken. George trying to get round the inside of turn 5. Now through the kink at turn 6, turn 7 and 8. It's gone slightly wide through there. So a slightly bigger gap between these two now, 0.2 seconds. He's got a bit of DRS going around the outside. Hollow Chicken trying to defend. Into turn 10. Almost onto the grass. A little bit of a lock-up from both of them. And Ryan just 0.2 seconds ahead. Ryan trying to go around the outside of turn 12. Does he have the grip to stay there? Looks like he does. And he's got the slipstream from Hollow Chicken ahead to help him along. But he has to eventually still stay around the outside. And with Hollow Chicken's help, Ryan around the outside at turn 12, 13 and 14 manages to make a position on George. But George is not happy with that. He is going to retake the position into turn 1. Maybe. They both have DRS. And oh my goodness, the ping is just going nuts. But there we go. George dropping a position after Ryan makes an epic overtake round the outside. Brilliant move from the driver currently in P4. And I'm just keeping an eye out for the race lead. 0.3 seconds. Looks like there is going to be a change of position soon. Nicholas now heavily under threat of Pagadala. 0.3 seconds between these two. 4 laps of racing remaining. It is going to be tight. Almost 3.6 seconds between Pagadala and Hollow Chicken. Between P2 and P3. 0.2 seconds between Pagadala and Nicholas now. This is Pagadala's view. And he looked like he was going for an absolutely huge dive bomb, but it didn't work out. And he hasn't managed to make a position under DRS, which is surprising, really. Hollow Chicken now managed to make a position on George as well. So George is just dropping down the order. George now 0.1 seconds off of Hollow Chicken. Let's see where this goes. Through turn 6 they'll have a little bit of tussle maybe into turn 10. But it's half a second now between George and Hollow Chicken for that position. But not so between Pagadala and Nicholas. Still 0.2 seconds between these two. This is going to be really, really close on the main straight. Oh, and a little bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 12, and that has scuppered Pagadala's efforts at a good exit. He'll have the DRS, but he can only close so much of a gap. Hold on, Nicholas is going slightly slow. Is this maybe a position change? No, 0.3 seconds between them. George, though, in the background, made a position before we even hit the braking zone. So George making use of the DRS back up into P4. Two laps of racing to go, and this is still really close up between George and Hollow Chicken for P4, and then finally Nicholas and Pagadala for P1 in the race. The race lead, the race win, 0.2 seconds between these two. Pagadala is going to give it his all in these final couple seconds of the race, a couple final minutes. 0.4 seconds. Is there potential for a move down into turn 1? Because that is all he needs at this point. Pagadala needs to overtake Nicholas at turn 1. This is kind of the last feasible opportunity he has to do so. Trash Panda now leaving the session, so his bot will be racing around the track. 0.3 seconds between them. I think this might be it. Here's Pagadala for the race lead, potentially. Final lap of the race. Here we go. Round the inside. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, and they touch. And that is Pagadala now into the race lead. He slightly overshot it though into turn 2. Nicholas got the inside line into turn 3. They're still side by side. This is the amazing battle for P1. And he's sent around the outside. And Pagadala spins out. Pagadala loses out on the race lead on the final lap in a desperate battle with Nicholas. I'm utterly shocked at what's happened. I'm just gutted for Pagadala down in P7, and Pagadala suddenly disqualified for parking in a dangerous position. Uh, uh, so yeah, that has happened as Nicholas now comes through the final couple corners, final lap of the race, and that final battle has not ended as well as it should have. Nicholas and Pagadala coming together on the final attempt at an overtake from Pagadala, but Nicholas takes a second race win of the season. It has been an absolutely immense battle for the race lead and for the race win as Nicholas comes across the line, P1, and Ryan with a brilliant run today, down in P2, just behind Nicholas and George, another podium finish. Hollow Chicken just losing out by half a second on those podium positions. Wow. There has just been non-stop action today. It has been an absolutely incredible weekend for all of us here at Cinque, but I'm sure for Papa, Aka and Pagadala, it has not been so. Final lap. I'm just... You would think... I'm still speechless at what happened. Because all race they've been alright. And they've been pushing each other hard. They've had some collisions. But right at the end, yeah, Nicholas and Pagadala just coming together and Pagadala spun out. I'm not even sure whose fault it is. But we'll let the stewards sort it out as Nicholas celebrates his P1 position. That then is the end of round 7 of the Cinque F1 Esports Championship, and what a weekend it has been. Action right from the start through to the end. Our top 5 fighting all the way. Pagadala and Nicholas coming together on the final lap of the race to then emerge victorious as Nicholas comes across the line first. Ryan taking P2 and George P3. Those are our podium finishes. Nicholas, then Ryan, then George. What a weekend it has been. An absolutely incredible couple, not hours, but a good couple minutes of racing. And I'm sure we will all look forward to next race. Round 8 at the next track.
Hello.
Good evening. Wow. That's just my first reaction to this race is just, wow. That was absolutely kinetic.
Yeah.
Mate, that was nuts.
That was crazy. Yeah, I honestly don't have any words.
I was also there, just, a couple of those overtakes, I was just speechless.
Yeah, I was stressing out a lot throughout this race. It was such a difficult race.
Mate, the racing was absolutely awesome. Like, the top 4, 5 were all fighting the whole race through. Like, last lap we had some action up at the top between Pagadala and Nicholas. It was just non-stop.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, I was watching it because I was within viewing distance from them. I was like, every corner that I saw them going side by side, I was about to say, they're gonna crash, they're gonna crash, they're gonna crash.
Yeah.
And on the penultimate lap, I just said, I'm not finishing on this podium, I'm too slow. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what happened again between Aryan and Nick, but yeah, that was very unfortunate to see him get disqualified in the end.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who's at fault for that, because both drivers have just been fighting so hard. Nicholas, I know you'll be able to kind of maybe give some insight on it. You guys were fighting really hard for the race lead all race long. What happened on the last lap?
So on the last lap, I don't know what happened. So I think was a little incident, but I think it was my fault at this. And I want to say something for the iron because I don't know if my fault, but I think it's my was me who caused the accident. But I think I'm happy with those race win. I don't know if I was clear
Mm.
or was a little different, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean it's just been this whole race has just been kinetic. It's just been I'm speechless really. I just can't think of what to say. It's just been such a run all the way through. It feels like we've been rushing through the whole weekend, or everyone's just been racing, and there's just been action all weekend long.
Yeah. And the safety car, I don't know why Nigeria is in on the safety car, but I'm very happy with this recovery and the nice win.
Yeah, no, that was crazy because I thought you'd have been able to. I thought you would be allowed to retake those positions up back into P1, but yeah, apparently not. But I mean, even then, that
Yeah,
was a brilliant, recovery run. Even just those couple positions.
yeah. The was a little bit hard because I got some difficulties on the start of safety car. I was just thinking I think on this moment I think I will be can't back to the first position, but I didn't it and I didn't the recovery and was a good race today. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's another race win for you. Second race of the season, second race win of the season. So I'm sure you're quite happy with your results so far.
yeah.
And George, another podium as well. As you said, you just weren't expecting it, but here you are again.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
I was
feel.
about to say, I was saying that to my teammate, but yeah, it was extremely unlucky what happened to Aryan. I don't really want to get podiums like that, but
Yeah,
it
yeah. No
happens.
one likes it when that happens.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very bad race from my side, very poor race from my side. I just didn't have any pace all race
Mm,
long. Um, Towards the end, I started to pick up the pace, and I was fighting with Chicken and Ryan.
mm.
But unfortunately, Chicken just turned in on me on a corner and damaged my wing. So yeah, that I couldn't chase after Ryan after that.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was I was losing a lot of time.
Ah, okay. That's what
But
happened. Yeah.
if I can get a podium on my worst day, I'll take it.
Imagine
I
what your
don't
best day
mind.
will look like. Yeah. Oh mate, but your
Yeah, it
your
was
day will
crazy.
come. I'm sure we'll get a race win at some point this season. We've still got another 8 rounds to go, so
I mean,
still plenty of time.
I already have a win, so yeah.
Well, time to
I
add to
have the
that
win in
roster.
Monaco in my debut.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. That now just chase that second win. But Ryan as well
yeah.
just joined the commentary box. How was that race for you, Ryan?
I just gotta say it was chaotic and adrenaline rush.
Oh man, that was it
Chaotic's
for
the
everyone.
only word I could think of at the moment.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Uh,
That was all race.
yeah, it felt like
The
a quick
strategies
race
were
today.
fun.
Yeah, no, this was
Yeah,
absolutely
so many
brilliant to
strategies.
Yeah,
watch.
I don't know who says Catalunya is a boring track. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
it's not a
usually
boring track. It's just that we don't like it.
it's
I love
just
this track.
usually when you think Catalonia, you think like turn one, that's the main overtaking zone, and then the rest is boring or kind of nothing will happen. But a lot happened in the other corners as well. Because I mean, there
Yeah,
was some
that was
great
insane.
overtaking. Yeah, it was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, what a crazy race.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Ryan, that's another
Uh,
podium for you in your third race with us.
yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
Imola was a disaster for me, so this was a little bit of a consolation for that.
yeah, I
I wish I
thought,
could go for the win, but
yeah. I was also just saying that you were fighting with Hollow Chicken for the race lead. Do you know what happened to him? Because he was leading by about 1.8 seconds, and then suddenly that gap dropped to about zero point 0.1 seconds.
to chicken.
Yeah, yeah, it just felt like that gap just disappeared out of nowhere.
I actually don't know who I raced.
Because yeah, it was Chicken in P1. You came up behind him, and then there was just a massive battle for P1. Nicholas came past, Pagadala came past, and then Hollow Chicken just
Oh,
disappeared down the grid.
I think I know. I think I remember why. We were going side by side into turn 1, and we went. It was a little bit of a racing incident. He kind of pushed me off in turn 1, turn 2. I kind of hit his side pod because I was completely on the curbs. I was sent airborne.
Yeah.
So
Oh
now
my
it's sent
goodness.
airborne, no control. I lost a bit of my front wing.
Yeah.
And then he got. I think he just that just let everyone in the DRS train. DRS is really, really, really important here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even just that little bit into turn 10, that just keeps you close enough so you can get the proper run down the main straight.
Yeah, the main straight is absolutely overpowered with the DRS. If you have
It's
that,
like
you could,
Imola.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's-
this was 2 times more overpowered. I mean, I did a double overtake on a guy that had DRS as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it was you,
on.
Ryan.
It was you on Ryan and who else was it? Hollow Chicken, I think. You just I was busy following.
Either Chicken or Alex.
Yeah, because I was. Oh yeah, it was Akka, wasn't it? Because I was following Akka. He was trying to make an overtake on Ryan. I'm just following Akka. He's gone down the inside into turn 1, and then you just come thundering past, and I'm like, who's this guy? It was really funny to watch.
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't expect it.
No,
I just got it like the exit and I went on the. I used all of my battery and for some reason I was just super fast there. But that was it. That was the fastest I was the whole race. After that, it just went downhill from my pace.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably like the first double overtake we've seen all season. So yeah, great job.
Probably, yeah. Thank you. So Ryan, like you said, it felt like a short race.
Yeah.
In the last 2 laps, I was just getting used at the front wing damage, and I didn't even realize that it was like the final 2 laps. So I hear it says final lap, and I was like, no, I am just starting to gain on Ryan. Just don't do this to me right now. I gained a second on Nicholas and like a couple of tenths to you, so I was like, okay, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was unlucky.
The mediums were a great tire today. Great tire.
Yeah, the top 4
They
were
were
all
in the
running
final
mediums. Yeah.
stint. The first thing they felt terrible.
I think the medium tires was just gaining advantage on the starting of the starting of the instance and on the ends. And I think that the hard tires was working better than the mediums on the end of the race.
Yeah, my really old mediums were just as fast as those medium old softs. I mean, hards. I was on the mediums for a while. I think 17, 16, 15 laps around there. And by the end of the race, I was still keeping up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. The softs seem to have a great pace as well.
Yeah, but
Because
they
we
wear
didn't
off after
fall
a few
off.
laps. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wear on the softs is very noticeable, though. It's like it falls off the cliff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Insane. Because for a good while throughout the first stint, it was me, Alex, and Keegan. Me and Keegan were on the mediums, and you and Alex were on the softs. While you were keeping up with us for the first 10 laps, after the 10th lap, I just had a 4-second gap to you and Alex for no reason. Like I was just keeping steady for my lap time, so I guess that's when the tires just dropped off. But they lasted a good while.
They did. Yeah, the hards weren't the greatest tire. They last very long, but they're just slow.
No, the hards were terrible.
Yeah, I
felt
got
like
on the
I was
hards.
driving on ice.
Yeah, I got on the hards at just before the safety car. Then 2 laps later, I was like, I don't like these tires. And the safety car came out, just put up the mediums on.
Oh, you beat it before the safety car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I put it before the
Had no
safety car
idea.
came back out. Yeah, I put a lap 9. So I did a few
Yo,
stuff if you think
insane
about it.
comeback. insane. The safety car saved you.
The safety car did save me. Also, I've been on that hard for so long. I didn't like that hard at
Yeah.
all. Yeah. I
No,
think it was
in the conditions that we had, the hards were terrible. I just couldn't get them over 90 degrees, and the
Yeah.
hards need over like 95 to start working properly.
Yeah.
So I was
I think-
basically like understeering every corner.
I think it's 104 is optimal temperature for hards. So it was way
Yeah,
off.
but
I was
then
staying at
you're
60.
risking.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
very
God.
cold. The track temperature was very cold. I was at 60. It was sliding all over the place. I didn't want to be on those tires.
Yeah,
So hard to heat up. I think
so hard.
Danielle, Hollow Chicken, was gaining on me on old hards after my new hards because they're so cold. I just freeze. So that safety car really
Yeah,
saved me.
there was no way to hit them up.
Yeah. Maybe if you start on them,
That safety car,
maybe. Yeah.
that safety car did a number on Alex, I think, because he pitted the lap before the safety car.
Oh.
And I could tell that he was gonna come ahead of me because I was going so slow on that lap, and he had fresh tires. And I saw the safety car coming out, and I immediately thought, "Oh no, Alex is gone. He just lost this race. He was doing well as well."
Yeah, I saw.
So yeah, that sucks.
Mm.
But I mean, great race. Let's see. I think we swapped the next race for Baku.
Ooh.
The vote
That's a.
passed through.
I've never raced at Baku in a league race anywhere.
Oh,
So, like,
You
no,
should.
not in any. I should. I'm praying for the castle section. The castle section is gonna catch so many people out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
But I mean, it is insane. Last time I did a league race in Baku, we had 3 red flags.
3 red
Three.
flags. Do we have red flags in the
3 red flags. They are not forced by the game. I
Yeah,
have
it's the
turned them
server
off because I lag.
Ah.
Yeah, the
okay.
server crashes completely. But we have race restart by the stewards if it's necessary.
Ah, okay. Yeah, what?
So yeah, that can. I think. I think it's gonna be Baku in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, we'll just
In
have
2
to
weeks,
get
so wait,
the
let me check.
get the calendar re-updated.
Yeah,
Because every time I'm like,
October
oh yeah, let's
3rd
do
is
this.
the next race.
We've got it on the schedule as China, but yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
do
we
you know why they
voted to
changed
change
it?
it.
As like everyone, all the drivers saying we don't like China, or
I mean, a lot of drivers were complaining about China as a track because we were talking about Spain and the fact that a lot of drivers do not like Spain as a track, and then everybody just started saying, "Oh, we hate China, so let's just get rid of the track from the calendar and replace it with something else." We proposed Baku, and 11 people voted yes, and 2 said no.
Yeah. I hate China so much because I don't have so much good results for China, and I prefer Baku, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the only track that we're gonna replace in general. I don't think we're gonna replace any other tracks. They don't seem to have an issue with the rest.
yeah, I think Zandvoort's going to be
The other
interesting
tracks
to watch.
are. Well,
That and
Zandvoort's
Monza.
gonna be chaotic, and Singapore as well. Actually, no, it's the triple header of Zandvoort, Monza, and Singapore that is gonna be crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, and the final 3 races are also very nice tracks. I'm looking forward to them.
Oh yeah. Spa's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for tonight then. Round 7 complete. Round 8 in 2 weeks at Baku now. So we'll see you all there. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Have a good evening.